Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is December 6th, and right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery. We got Washington, Oregon off to the right. Check out our warm southwest plume of moisture. It's going to be moving back up over the area. It's going to give snow levels a pretty significant rise and drop some fairly heavy rainfall across some of the region. We'll take a look at those details as we go through the video today, but the snow levels are going to come crashing down as we go through the weekend. You can see this very cold air aloft out across the Gulf of Alaska. And in the meantime, as this warm air moves over the colder air mass east of the mountains, we could get some freezing precipitation, like some light freezing rain out there. We'll take a look at those details also, and the extended forecast as we do every single day. Taking a look at the infrared satellite imagery, again, you can see that cold air trapped east of the mountains there, and you can see all the fog in place. Some of that across the Willamette Valley is still going on this morning here as well, and you can see down in towards Idaho, Treasure Valley. Look at the fog kind of creeping across the valley areas this morning here, and actually that was kind of earlier this morning, and then it's kind of retreated back a little bit here as we go to where we are now. You can see the high and mid-level clouds coming across the area. We could have some nice lenticular cloud activity across some of the higher terrain, maybe Mount Rainier as well. Now taking a look here at the storm reports, not much going on, so we don't have any storm reports. We continue to watch that because things are going to change here as we go through the next few days. We do have hydraulic outlooks out for Snohomish, Skagit, Whatcom County, and some of the Kitsap and Olympic Peninsula for some of that heavy rain and the rising snow levels. Not a high-end flood event though, as the snow levels are going to be high, but the system is going to be fairly progressive moving through the area. And you can see 7,000 to 9,000 feet coming up here. So again, it's a good thing this thing is moving through fairly quickly. Now, if we take a look at that, you can see this plume of moisture as we go through the day today, initially across British Columbia, then sliding down across Washington, and then Oregon, and moving off to the east. And again, it's not hanging up over any given point, so that is good news there. Fairly progressive system. And then we bring that colder air in aloft as we go through the weekend. I'll show you some of the snows that might be accompanying that as well. Just a reminder here, since we had that strong earthquake off of Northern California yesterday, it was about a 7. I saw initial reports were at 7.3. The National Weather Service and NOAA will be putting out warnings and tsunami advisories and whatnot. So just a heads up for that. You can see Medford, Oregon, kind of calling attention to that too. They put the tsunami graphic on their page here this morning. Now this is for Spokane. You can see we do have that chance for some periods of light snow, some ice pellets, and freezing rain with light accumulations. It doesn't take much to make things slick here, and that cold air is going to be trapped at the surface when we initially bring that warm air up over it. So I'll show you some of that here in the weather models. You can see the Spokane updated here, this graphic at about 7 a.m. And this is for Idaho Panhandle, some of the valley areas, western Montana. We got that light freezing rain Saturday morning again, so heads up for that. Same thing that Spokane is dealing with. You can see they put this out a couple days ago, but it still applies. Now, here is the accumulated freezing rain. So scroll through here, and what I want to call attention to is as we go through Saturday morning, you can see things, it's actually Saturday and then early afternoon, you can see things, a nice little glaze showing up here for some of the lower elevations. So it could make things slick, even for places like I-90 and Highway 2, and especially if you're walking around your yard and going out on walkways there, or you're driving short distances out across the region here, you got to watch out for that. It can catch you by surprise. If we take a look at the European last night, you can see that plume of moisture riding in here as we go through the day today. Here we are tomorrow morning. This is about 7 a.m. and you can see some of that light freezing rain that may be occurring east of the mountains. The heavy rains are ongoing across some portions of BC, western Washington, and then we crash these snow levels back down as we head on in towards Saturday night and on into Sunday. Nice round of snowfall, especially for BC and some of the Washington Cascades as we go into Sunday morning. Some snow down towards the Oregon Cascades, not quite as much, but you can see the Blue Mountains there, some of Idaho, the higher terrain, Rocky Mountains getting a nice shot of snowfall as that system moves out. And here we go on through the day. Monday, this thing is going to be pushing off to the east. We can get a little bit of a break for portions of the day, Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday we watch the next frontal system rolling in here. But we'll take a look at the extended forecast in a moment. Now, surface base cape, we are going to destabilize a little bit behind this frontal system here. So as we go on in through Saturday night, you can kind of see some of that cape out there, convective available potential energy. So we could get a thunderstorm or two, but again, just a couple lightning strikes associated with that, not a widespread lightning event by any means. And if we look at the European, it kind of shows something similar. There we go as we go through the day Saturday. You blink and you might miss it there. And then on through Sunday, we might even get a thunderstorm east of the mountains there, but again, just an isolated one. Now, if we look at the temperature here at 10,000 feet, I want to show you something, because you can see that warm, moist plume of air riding up over the area. You can see how we're warming up. Even at 10,000 feet, a lot of places getting just above freezing. But then look at the snow levels. They're going to be crashing back down as we get this colder air on in through Saturday night and on in through Sunday, as that system, again, kind of fairly progressive, moves off across the Intermountain West by the time we go on in towards the day Monday. And then we wait for the next system. And this is at 5,000 feet as well. You can, again, see the warm air coming up across the region here today in advance of this system. But then as we go on through the day, Saturday and Saturday night, look at those temperatures just crash back down at about 5,000 feet as we go negative for a lot of areas. 24-hour snow Kuchera ratio. Kuchera ratio just means that the model is taking into account the atmosphere and the lower levels of the atmosphere. Gives a better water to snow ratio. And as you can see, as we go through Sunday morning, we're getting some nice amounts across the Washington Cascades, a few inches across the Oregon Cascades, maybe higher towards Mount Hood there, and then we scroll on in towards Monday and that system will be out of here. But if I scroll back and forth here, you can see we are getting some pretty good 24-hour totals here across the Cascades. Lesser here for Snoqualmie Pass. Of course, it's a lower pass, but look at Stevens. I mean, you could be looking at over a foot there in the 24-hour period, and even a little bit showing up in some of the lower elevations of eastern Washington here as well as we go through, back that up here. You can kind of see that would be occurring early Sunday morning. And Mount Baker, here we go. The mean and the control are up over a foot in a 24-hour period. Snoqualmie Pass, lesser amounts here, but even lesser amounts as you go further south for Mount Hood, Oregon. Now, taking a look at 24-hour precipitation totals. So scroll through here and you can see we are getting some decent amounts as we go through the day Saturday. Some 3-inch totals not out of the question there for some of the Olympics in the North Cascades of Washington, southern British Columbia here. Some nice precipitation amounts. You can see it rapidly drops off as we go down in towards Oregon, especially southern Oregon with this system. Some rain shadowing effects going on across British Columbia, eastern Washington, eastern Oregon. Picks back up again here across some of the Rocky Mountains, and then that system will be swinging through, and then we get the showery weather as we go through the day Monday, and then that system is out of here and we wait to see what comes next. And this is nice here. This is the backcountry avalanche forecast, and I just selected this because it kind of shows you Stevens, Snoqualmie, Crystal, Paradise, Washington, White Pass, and you can kind of see all the snow levels here as well. So you can kind of see the Snoqualmie Pass and Mount Hood down here. Look at these high snow levels as we go through Friday night, but then they start coming down as we go through Saturday afternoon. And by Saturday night, they'll be down below many of the past levels. So taking a look here at, Saturday afternoon and Saturday night is when the snow levels are going to crash back down here across much of the higher terrain. So you got to watch out for that all the way on in through Sunday for the lower snow levels. So if you're traveling back and forth, you want to do it as early as you can on the day Saturday, or maybe wait till later on Sunday, or there still might be some snow ongoing as we go on all the way on in through Monday morning. So you got to watch out for that too. So if you can, try to cross the passes here on the day today or early tomorrow. Now, looking at the extended forecast, this is the artificial intelligence. There's our warm plume there out ahead of this next system, and then the colder air aloft arrives as we go through this week. And you can see as we go through Sunday, we're still dealing with a little bit of that snow shower activity across the mountains. But as we go towards Monday morning, things do get better. That system moves out of here, and then we wait to see what comes. And you can see another round of some precipitation rolling in as we go through next week. How strong are these storm systems going to be? We don't know just yet, but you can see if one of these becomes nicely placed here in the Pacific Northwest, we could get some windy conditions as well, and then who knows what's going to come after that. But you can see we could remain active as we go through the mid to the later portions of December. More on that here in a moment. But I wanted to point this out, just kind of something that I want to look at here in the future, because we get some big model disagreement as we go on through the extended forecast. So this is looking at 2-meter temperature anomaly at the surface. You can see pretty good model agreement in the short term here. And we got the artificial intelligence on the left versus the straight up European on the right. So if we scroll through here, you can kind of see how pretty good agreement here with some Arctic air moving well north of the area. We're not worried about that. But then as we go through the extended, look at this difference showing up here between the European the regular run, the deterministic versus the artificial intelligence run, it wants to drop this Arctic air down across some of British Columbia, and it mainly stays east of the Rockies, but you can see much cooler here across Pacific Northwest versus absolutely no sign of that Arctic air on the European deterministic run. So I'm kind of curious of this. I hope I can remember so I can go back and review this to see which model picked this up best, but because you can see they couldn't be much more different as far as temperatures are concerned here at the surface. So I just wanted to point that out. So maybe hopefully I can break that down at a later date. And now, again, we're looking at the European on the left versus the GFS on the right. So again, there's that warm system here. Pretty good model agreement there. Colder air moves in as we go through Saturday afternoon, Saturday night. That system moves through. Then we get maybe on Monday might be a fairly dry day across the region. Then Tuesday, likely another dry day on both the GFS and the European. We go through Wednesday and we start to get maybe a decaying system there. But the next system will be knocking on our doorstep here. A fairly powerful low out over the Gulf of Alaska next week keeps showing up. And yeah, so some precipitation, maybe some mountain snows ongoing as we go through the mid to later portion of next week. And additional systems keep showing up. The GFS and the artificial intelligence also been showing a strong low trying to make its way towards the coastline here. We'll see how that goes. It's still a ways out. But the takeaway from this is that we may remain active here as we go through the mid portion of December and kind of see how things start to diverge as we go far off into the extended forecast. Here's the GFS. This is 16-day precipitation anomaly, kind of still a mixed bag out there, but you can clearly see the precipitation cut off across central Oregon. And some of the models are actually showing some decent systems moving down into California in this time frame as well. So we're still kind of taking things with a grain of salt, but you can kind of see the active pattern here for the Pacific Northwest through about December 21st. Here's the 6 to 10 day, slightly above average here. Or actually, this isn't, I phrased that wrong because this is just a percentage chance of being above normal here. So the chances of being above normal are a little bit on the low side there, but you can kind of see that across the west. Here's the above average 6 to 10 day precipitation day outlook here, above average across a lot of the Pacific Northwest. 8 to 14 day return to near normal, and then that above average signal continues all the way on in through December 19th. So anyway, yeah, I may go out towards Mount Rainier today here and try to capture some of the lenticular clouds up close. We'll see how that goes. It looks like it might be a fairly decent day for that. Pretty spectacular sunset if you were out and you saw that this morning with some lenticular cloud activity over both the Olympic Mountains and some of the Cascades, especially Mount Rainier. So I was too tired last night. I couldn't get up early enough to go out and see that. But yeah, that was pretty spectacular from what I saw on my friend's webcam and what I saw in the sky when I woke up. But anyway, yeah, so we will do this all again tomorrow. Hope you guys are having a good day. Click like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys then.